Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday and Merry Christmas. Hope everybody's having a good morning so far. I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me for today's stick mobility class. This is actually going to technically be my last class of this year. I'll be seeing y'all next year after this. But for today's class, we do require access to all three sticks. So 2 long and 1 short stick for today. You can't really see it, but over here I got a bench. We're going to actually use that for the cool down and the stretching aspect of the class today. So for today's class, we're still focusing on those performance lines. So we're still going to be working with that. We're going to start off with a dynamic warm-up with the short stick, right? We're going to get into a lot of rotation. Today's mainly going to be focused on recovery. So it's not going to be too challenging, but it's going to be challenging enough. All right. So let's go ahead and get started here. So like I mentioned, I have the short stick. So we're going to be doing a dynamic warm-up. So we're going to be doing a lunging kayaking drill to start off with. So I'm going to have the stick with the short stick. I'm going to grip it with fingertips. I'm not actually fully gripping. Just gripping with my fingertips here. Now we're going to be stepping forward or lunging forward and back. We're going to do 3 each side, right? So we're going to start with the right foot being the active leg that's moving. I'm going to start with my right hand up nice and high. Let's actually have our feet together. So let's actually start by slowly kayaking here. Just want to get some movement. Start here, nice and slow. Feel those shoulder blades moving. Now, we're going to have to time the kayak here. So when we step forward, we want that left arm coming up and over. When we step back, we want that right arm coming up and over. All right? So now we're going to kayak here. So now, as the left arm comes up and over, I'm going to step forward the right. Bring that left arm through, back up. Try to keep that balance. And then right hand through. Step forward. Good. Just 2. Nice and easy. And 3. Still keep going. Now we're actually going to switch sides. So same thing. Step forward with the left. Opposite hand comes through. All right. So from here, step forward with the left. Right hand comes through. Step back. Left hand comes through. Step forward. Right comes through. Step back. Left comes through. Step forward. Right comes through. Step back. Left comes through. Stand back up to that neutral position. Good. Make sure you're breathing. Let's go backwards here. Shoulder blades should start feeling pretty loose here. Shoulder joints should be feeling pretty good. Getting a nice little warm up. Good. 3, 2, 1, and excellent. Perfect. Now we're going to grab a long stick. We're going to do a rotational drill here. Now for this, we're going to need to have the long stick is going to be on the outside of the leg here. So I'm going to start with my feet at about roughly shoulder width. Toes are going to be pointed forward. Now I want the short stick to be at 12 o'clock. The short stick stays at 12 o'clock. The only stick that's switching sides is going to be the long stick. I'm going to start with the stick on my right side in line with my right foot. My left hand is going to be at chest height here. My right hand is going to be up at the top of the stick here, going with the rope grip. So what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to hinge back. I'm not driving the sticks down, and I'm going to bring this left stick across the body while pulling the right stick back. And I want to try to drive that left hand out, pull back with the right. Good. I'm going to slowly come up to that top position. Let's go ahead and do that again. So we're going to hinge back. Left arm comes across, pulling that right hand back. Breathe. Slowly come up. Excellent. Let's go 2 more. Hinge. Bring that left arm across. Pull that right stick back. Trying to get that shoulder towards the floor. Come back up. Let's go one last time, folks. Hinge. Reach across with the left, pull with that right. Get as much rotation as you can. Excellent. Up slowly and ease off. I'm going to turn to the side here. So now the long stick's going to be on my left side. Feet are still going to be at shoulder width. Toes are pointed forward. Short stick's at 12 o'clock still. Hand is at chest height. So left hand is going to be up tall. Now from here, I'm going to hinge back. Bring that right stick across. Pull that left stick back. Breathe. Come back up. Excellent. Let's go 3 more. Hinge. Bring that right stick across. Excellent. Back up. Let's go 2 more. Doing good, folks. Hinge. Reach across with the right. Pull back with the left. Excellent. Back up. Last one. Breathe. Reach across with the right. Try to get as much rotation as you can. Excellent. Slowly come back up. And relax. Good. Excellent. Now I want to kind of get into working on pelvic tilts. So we're going to do anterior, posterior tilts specifically. So I'm going to take the long stick. You can go with the short stick, either stick. But I'm going to go with the long stick here. I'm going to have my feet wider than shoulder width, right? And I'm going to turn to the side here. And I actually do want to get in a little bit of a squat. Again, we're still going with that nice tall posture. Bottom of the stick is going to be angled in. I'm going to have my hands at chest height. We don't want to lean forward and we don't want to be sinking back. We want to stay nice and centered and balanced. Drive the stick down about 20% tension. I'm going to do a posterior tilt. So I'm going to tuck my pelvis in, squeeze my glutes, drive my knees out away from one another. So you're creating some rounding in that low back here. And now I'm going to anterior tilt, tuck my pelvis the opposite way, as if I'm trying to tilt water out the front. So posterior tilt, so driving the stick down the entire time. We don't want the T-spine to move, right? Anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Anterior tilt. Posterior tilt. Good. Anterior tilt. Posterior tilt. Good. Anterior tilt. Go to posterior tilt. Hold that position here. Now we're going to go lateral hip bumps. So I'm going to bump my right hip up. The left hip should drop. And then I'm going to bump my left hip up. Right hip should drop. That left glute should be firing. So bump the right hip up. Good. Left. Right. Left. Right. Left. One more time each way. Right. And left. Back to center. And ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to get into a ninja flow where we're going to be doing a push-pull as we work in and out of the ninja flow here. Okay? So I'm going to have a wide stance. This is obviously going to be as wide as whatever's comfortable for you. You can manipulate your stance closer or wider as you need to, depending on your level of flexibility and mobility. And so from here, I might be a little slippery here, so bear with me. So I'm going to have the stick on the inside of my left foot. My left hand is on the stick here. I want to have my hand somewhere around face height. And so from here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to lightly drive that stick down, and then I'm going to hinge back. Okay? And I want to get that chest going towards the floor. So I'm going to get a stretch in the pec and a little bit of the shoulder here if you're a little tight. Now I'm going to do my right hand, I'm going to simply reach across and grab the stick. I'm going to lunge to my right. As I do that, I want to pull on the stick. My left hand is going to reflexively push away. Now I'm going to lunge to my left, and now I'm going to drive that right hand out, and my left hand is going to reflexively pull in. So lunge back to the right, pull with the right hand. Good, lunge to the left, drive that right hand out, create that bow on the stick. Good. Lunge to the right, pull with the right hand. Excellent. Lunge to the left, drive that right hand out. Good. Come back to center. Let go with the right. Slowly come up. Excellent. Ease off. Let's go ahead and switch sides here. So right hand, roughly about the same height, right? Face level. From here, drive that stick down lightly, about 20%, nothing too crazy. We're gonna hinge back. Reaching down towards the floor, knees are soft here. Get that nice little stretch going. Excellent, doing good. Reach across with the left hand. We're gonna do that same thing. We're gonna lunge to the left, pull with that left hand. Excellent, lunge to the right, drive that left hand out. Good, lunge to the left, pull. Excellent, lunge to the right and push. One more time each way, lunge to the left, pull. Good, lunge to the right and push. Excellent, back to center. Let go with that left hand. Slowly come up and ease off. Let's go ahead and wiggle those feet in nice and slow. Excellent, folks. All right, we're going to get into another drill. Last warm up here. We're going to get into the Captain Morgan, working with internal, external rotation of the hip, right? So typically for this drill, we'll have the hip directly in front. Instead, we're actually going to kind of have the hip angled out a little bit more, so we're technically opening that hip up. And so I'm actually going to kind of show this from the side here. I'm going to have both feet together. Left stick is going to be at 12 o'clock. Right stick is going to be about roughly 2 o'clock. Now the angle I'm at when I bring my hip up is coming out to the side, right? So if I show directly from the front, seeing where the sticks are, it's coming out to the side. It's not coming in front. So that's the angle that we're going for here. We want to still keep that knee in the middle of the stick as we rotate the hip, and we're just going to tap each side of the stick here, folks. So left stick's at 12, right stick's at 2 o'clock. Try to have those sticks effectively upright. So from here, hands are at shoulder height, drive both sticks down. I'm going to bring my right knee up. Good. Keep it in the middle. Now we're going to internally, externally rotate. So I'm going to internally rotate, touch the outside of my foot to the right stick, and then externally rotate, touch the inside of my foot to the left stick. Internally rotate, externally rotate. Good. Internally rotate, externally rotate, internally rotate, and externally rotate. Back to center, down nice and slow. Ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. So I'll actually turn to the side here. We're going to do that same thing. So hands are at exactly where they're at, shoulder height. Drive both sticks down here. I'm going to bring that left knee up. Good. I'm going to internally rotate first. Good. Then externally rotate. Good. Internal. External. Doing good. Internally rotate. Externally rotate. Good. Internally rotate. And externally rotate. Back to center. Down. And ease off. Excellent. Perfect. Now we're going to get into the strength training phase. So we're actually going to start off with a bird dog variation. However, we did this in the first class of the month that I taught on the 4th. We did the variation where we actually had the stick hovering off the floor, but this time we're actually going to hover the opposite knee off the floor. So we'll be hovering and we'll kind of go through a little slow. It's not going to be that hard to get, I promise. So I'm going to take the short stick here. This is where our short stick comes into play. So I'm going to go down to the floor and I'm going to get into a kind of like a crawl position here. I'm going to get in a quadruped position. So I'm going to have my left hand down. I want to have that left hand right under the shoulders. So if I'm here and I have my left hand out, I want to hinge down, place the hand down. That's the right position to be in. The stick is going to be in the right hand. That right hand is stretched out. I want to have my ankles dorsiflexed here, so that allows me to actually drive my hips up here. So since the stick is in my right hand, I'm going to extend that left leg out. So I want to get that extension here. Now from this position here, drive that right stick down about 50% and hover the right knee. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off and take a second. This is just a little bit of a progression from the last one, right? So let's go again. Hand is under the shoulder, dorsiflexing both ankles. Right foot is down. I want to extend that left heel straight back. Drive the stick into the floor 50%. Hover that right knee. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back down. Ease off. Excellent. Let's go ahead and get 2 more here, folks. Let's up that tension on the stick. Let's go to 70%. Straighten out that left leg. Good. Drive that stick down 70%. Hover the right knee. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. We're going to go 1 more here. Extend the left knee, the left hip out. Drive the stick down 70%. Hover the right knee. 3, 2, 1. Down and ease off. Take a second. We're going to switch sides. So I'll change angles. So from here, same thing, right? Think about right hand directly in front, shoulder height, hinge down, place it on the floor. That's your position. Left hand is straight out. Left ankle is dorsiflex. So we're going to start at 50%. So drive that right knee out, right hip out. Driving that heel back. Drive the stick down 50%. Hover the left knee. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. Let's go again at 50%. Extend that right hip out. Drive the stick down. Hover. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back in. Ease off. Now we go 70%. Good. Extend that right leg back. Drive the stick down 70%. Hover. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. Let's go 1 more time here, folks. Extend that right heel back. Good. Drive the stick down 70%. Hover that left knee. 3, 2, 1. Back in and ease off. Whew. Excellent. Good. Okay. So now we're done with that. We're going to get into a single leg RDL drill. Sorry. Catch my breath real quick. So we're going to be driving the stick sideways into the wall here. Now, where that down leg, we're still going to be focusing on that glute and positioning. Remember, we don't want the hip to actually open up. We want to keep that hip facing towards the ground as we're going into that position. But, sorry, we're not gonna drive the stick into the wall, but the stick's actually gonna be out to the side, so we're actually going to create some rotation as we go into it, right? So, with the outside hand, with the hand that's outside from where the stick is, I want that palm facing up towards the floor. So I'm gonna be like an over-under grip, like so. So from here, that left hand, so if my left hand is facing up, or as an open hand here, I'm gonna have that left leg down, right? So I'm gonna have an active foot on my left foot here, right foot's gonna hover off the floor. So from here, I'm going to start to hinge, back slowly, driving that right heel back. Now from here, I'm gonna rotate towards my left side until the right end of the stick comes in contact with the floor, and I'm gonna create tension. Driving that right hand down, reflexively pulling up with the left. 3, 2, 1, ease off. Nice and slow, stay balanced. Bring the stick back to neutral, come up, and ease off. All right, real simple, kind of. So we're gonna do that again. Gonna turn out, come out to the side a little bit more. Left foot's active, right foot hovers off the floor. I'm going to hinge back. Good. Find that balancing point, rotate your shoulders to the left, make that stick make contact with the floor, create tension, drive that right arm down, left arm up. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Slowly ease off. Bring the stick back level, come up, and relax. Good. Let's go 2 more here. Left foot stays active. Over the right foot. Drive that heel back. Good. Rotate to the left. Create tension. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Slowly ease off. Bring the stick back level. Come up. Excellent. One more time here, folks. Rotate the stick a bit so it's not bending all in one way. Over to the right. Hinge. Ooh. Make sure you got some control there. Rotate to the left. Create tension on the stick. Drive that right hand down. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Slowly ease off. Come back to center. Whoop. Come up. Whoo. And ease off. Lost balance there at the end. So now we're going to switch sides. We're going to do that same thing. I'm actually going to turn to the side here. Step back away from the camera a little bit. So right foot stays active. Right. Left foot comes up off the floor. Let me step forward. Sorry. Gonna keep that left heel back. Good. Hinge. Rotate. Create tension. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Nice and slow. Come back up. And ease off. Good. Let's go 3 more. Over the left foot. Hinge back. Whoa. Try to find that balance. All right. Rotate. Create tension. 3, 2, 1. Good. Level back out. Come up. Ease off. We got 2 more. Rotate the stick a bit. Left foot comes off the floor. Hinge. Rotate. Create tension. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off. Bring that stick back to being level. Come up. Relax. Good. Last one here, folks. Over that foot off the floor. Hinge. Good. Rotate, create tension. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Sit her back out. Come up. And ease off. Excellent. Perfect. Good. Now, just want to work with a little bit of rotation here. So, standing rotation. We're going to do a standing plank. We're going to be rotating the stick side to side. We're really just tying in those obliques as well. So, we're going to only use one stick for this one. So, from here, I'm going to have a shoulder width stance. Toes are going to be pointed forward. I'm going to have the bottom of the stick angled in towards me here. Both hands are going to be at about chest height. Now from here, we're not actually going to squat down. We want to be in an upright position, so you want to keep those knees locked. Squeeze the glutes, right? Because it's going to posteriorly tilt that pelvis. We're going to drive the stick down 50% here. Hold, keeping those arms straight. I'm going to rotate the stick over to the left while keeping my hips forward. Good. And I'm going to bring it back to the center. Rotate to the right, driving down the entire time. Good. Back to center. Keep driving the stick down. Now as I rotate to the left, I'm going to try to shorten the shoulder and hip. So I'm going to try to bring them together a little bit. So keep driving the stick down, rotate to the left. I want to drive my left hip up towards my right shoulder. Try to shorten, back to center, rotate to the right. Good, try to drive that right hip up towards the left shoulder. Good, back to center. Ease off for a second, relax, we're gonna do that again. Shake them out a little bit. So when I say shorten, it's as if I'm doing this. I'm crunching this side. So it's okay if that heel comes up off the floor a little bit. That's okay for this actual exercise. Let's go again. So hands are straight out, 50%, drive the stick down. Good. Remember, rotate to the left. I want to bring that left hip and right shoulder together. So I'm getting almost like a cross-body crunch here to a small degree. Back to center. Now I'm going to rotate to the right. I want to bring that left shoulder towards that right hip. Good, that right heel is going to come off the floor a little bit. Come back to center, rotate to the left. Bring that right shoulder to that left hip. Should feel a lot of activation on those obliques. Back to center. Now rotate to the right. Bring that left shoulder to the right hip. Hold. Excellent. Back to center. And ease off. Excellent. Perfect. That was the strength training phase for today, my friends. Now we're going to get into the cool down and stretching. The fun stuff. The first thing we're going to start off with is the open book rotation stretch. So we're going to need 2 long sticks for this. So we are going to be on the floor here, and you will need to be by a wall. The setup is a little tricky, but we've done this one before, folks. So I'm going to take the second stick here, and I'm going to go to the floor. I'm going to start on my left side. Now, one stick is going to be behind, and I'm just going to lay the stick down for now because I don't need it to actually be in my hand. Now, for this stick that's in front, my left leg's on the floor. I want that foot on top of the stick. That is going to trap the stick, right? Now, the hip that's up towards the ceiling, my right hip, I want to bring that leg under the stick here, and I want to keep that knee at the very least parallel with my hip, right? Now, what happens is if we start to straighten that leg out, we actually start to get that low back involved. So this actually traps the low back in a neutral position. So I'm in position here, left hand is on the stick. Now with the other stick, it's going to be in towards the wall as well. I got my right hand at the top of the stick here. Now with the stick in my left hand, I'm gonna pull down towards the floor. That's the first part. Again, we're trapping that leg and trapping that low back. With the stick that's in my right hand and up, I wanna drive that stick down about 20%. And then I'm gonna open up and rotate to my right. Pulling the left stick down as I open up and rotate. Excellent, breathe. Come back up, still driving that stick down 20%. It's pretty light here. Open up and rotate again. You guys know I love my rotations. Good. Back up. Let's go 2 more here. Open up and rotate. Breathe, really reach out with that right hand. Your objective is to get your right shoulder to the floor. Excellent. Back up. Let's go 1 more time here, folks. Open up to the right. Good. Back up. And ease off. We're going to switch sides now. So the setup is still the same. Now I'm on my right side. Right foot is on top of the stick. Left hip is under the stick, interwoven. I have my right hand on the stick here. I got the other stick in hand. Left hand's at the end. I want to pull down with that right hand. Make sure we're trapping that leg in the low back. Drive that left hand into the floor. Or sorry, into the wall. Open up and rotate. Breathe. Back up. Excellent. Let's go again. Open up to the left. Make sure you're controlling your breathing here. Back up. We got 2 more. Open up to the left. Keep pulling that right hand down towards the floor. Excellent. Let's go 1 more time here, folks. Open up. Breathe. Deep breath through the rib cage. Breathe in. Exhale. Slowly ease off and relax. Slowly come out. Perfect. Let's actually get into stretching out the chest and the biceps here. So we actually can be in a tall kneeling position for this, and I'll actually kind of come forward a little bit more. We'll be in a tall kneeling position here. Now, both feet are extended. My ankles are extended. I'm not dorsiflexing and putting my big toes into the floor here. Just there's no purpose for that. I'm gonna have the sticks about roughly, I'd say about a foot in front of the line of my hips here. And I wanna have both hands roughly about face level here. Now for this, we're actually going to lean forward into the stick and the stick comes out to the side. So we actually do wanna make sure we get a hang in our hands. It shouldn't feel like we're holding ourselves up. So from here, hands are straight out, kind of at about roughly 10 and 2. Thumbs up grip. Now from here, I'm going to start to hinge back and bring my chest going down towards the floor. Sticks come out to the side. Now I'm just gonna hang here, getting a stretch in the chest. All right, so if you're like me, you got a pretty tight pecs, this is a really good way to open up those tissues. Excellent, we're gonna slowly come up and out. Excellent, good. We're gonna do that again. I'm actually gonna turn to the side here. And we're not doing anything with the lower body. So from here, hands are out, going to hinge back and then bring my chest down towards the floor. Sticks come out to the side, good. Now I'm going to internally rotate my shoulders and bring the sticks going down towards my hips a little bit more. So now I access the shoulder and the bicep a little bit. Bring the sticks back out to the side. Come up, nice and easy. and relax. We're gonna go one more time here, folks. One more time. Hands are the same height. Gonna hinge back. Sticks come out to the side. Get a hang in those hands. Get a nice good stretch in the chest. Internally rotate your shoulders. As you do that, you should get a little closer to the floor. Good. Bring the sticks back out to the side. Come up. Nice and easy. And relax. Okay. So now we're still going to be in a half kneeling position or tall kneeling position. And now I'm going to angle the bottoms of the sticks here into the wall, or in my case, kettlebells. But we've also done this stretch of this drill before too. It's a way for us to open up that T-spine and really get as much elongation as we can. So if you're starting to feel this in your low back, you need to actually change position. But the purpose of this is so you don't feel anything in that low back region. So I have my hands stretched out, but they're not directly overhead. They're more so kind of angled out. So angled up towards the ceiling, and from here, both the tops of my feet are flattened to the floor here, so I'm extending those ankles, not dorsiflexing here. Keeping those arms straight, what I want to do from here, and I want to sink my torso forward, get into a little bit of a hang. So you're already going to feel a little bit of T-spine stretch here. Now from this position, I want to sink my hips back, sitting my butt on my heels, or as close to your heels as you can get. Still bringing that chest forward. Then we're going to come up, squeeze those glutes. Excellent. We're going to go into it again. So sink those hips back. Keep those arms straight as you can. You're going to feel that stretch in the T-spine. Come back up, squeeze those glutes. Excellent. Let's do two more here. Sink those hips back. Breathe. Come up, squeeze those glutes. Excellent. Let's go one more time, folks. Sink those hips back down. Breathe. Excellent. Come back up. Squeeze the glutes. Ease off. And relax. Good. So, should feel the T-spine open up. If you have a lack of T-spine mobility, specifically with extension, that's probably one of the best drills that I've found that helps me personally, especially when I'm doing squats, deadlifts, overhead presses as well. So now I'm going to grab the bench and the pad. So I'm actually going to move this over to here, because now we're going to get into the couch stretch. So I have a pad. So if your knee does touch the floor, have something soft and cushy to actually be on. Now for this, it's an intense stretch, so please do be careful and be aware. You don't want the stretch to be a 10 out of 10. You want it to be more so about a 6 or 7 on that stretch scale, 10 being feeling like your tissues are going to rip. You never want to get to that point. So I'm going to start with my left leg on the bench here. Right leg's going to be forward. Top of my foot is on the bench. I'm going to lower my left knee down. Now, for me, surprisingly right now, this is actually not that much of a stretch. But for a lot of people, this actually might be a pretty good stretch here. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to go through a small series of activation and position utilization of the pelvis to further increase that stretch. So since my left leg is on the bench, I want to actually have my left hand up high on the long stick. The bottom of the stick is in line with the arch of my right foot here. Now from this position here, first thing I want to do is I want to tuck my pelvis. I want to do a posterior pelvic tilt. Now you're going to feel that rec fem and those anterior tissues light up. To further increase the activation, now we're going to drive that foot, that left foot into the bench here, lightly, about 20%. And you're going to feel everything light up quite a bit more. Now, from this position here, I'm just want to hold. And I'm going to hold this for about 20 seconds, really focusing on that breathing here, folks. Deep breaths. If you feel like your breaths are getting more shallow, very rapid and erratic, don't be afraid to ease off the stretch by bringing your hips forward away from your back foot. Excellent. Let's go ahead and ease off the stretch, right? So untuck the pelvis. You can shift forward a little bit to ease off of it, right? If you get your butt closer to your heel, you increase that stretch. So let's go ahead and go back into it. Now we're going to add in rotations. So from this position here, same thing, tuck that pelvis, lightly drive that back foot into the bench. So like you're trying to extend that knee. Feel those tissues light up. Now with my right hand on the stick for added support, I'm going to rotate to my right. That is going to further increase that stretch on that side, because now we're lengthening that side here. Bring it back to center. Let's go ahead and rotate to the right again. Excellent. Good. Back to center. Let's go one more time. Rotate to the right. Excellent. Make sure you're breathing here. Back to center. And ease off. Use the stick to assist yourself up. Now we're going to switch sides. So left foot's going to be on the ground. Right foot is on the bench. Lower that right knee down. So also you'll notice one side is going to be probably a little bit tighter than the other. That's okay. That's normal. That's very, very typical. So the side that's tighter, you want to be aware of that side. That's the side you kind of want to work on a little bit more, spend a little more time showing some love here. So the stick's in the same position. Bottom of the stick is in line with the arch of my left foot. Right hand is up high on the stick here. So we're going to go through that same series of activation. Posteriorly tuck that pelvis, lightly drive that back foot into the bench, and hold for 20 seconds. Make sure you're controlling your breathing here, folks, right? Nice, good, clear, deep breaths. Breathe. Good, hold position. 3, 2, 1. Ease off, untuck the pelvis, shift hips forward a little bit. Now we're gonna do the last one. Now this time we're rotating to the left or towards that front leg. So we're gonna get back in position. First thing, tuck the pelvis. Drive that back foot down into the bench lightly, 20%. Right hand's up high. Good, rotate to the left. Breathe. Excellent, back to center. Rotate to the left again. Doing good, folks. Almost there. We're in the home stretch. Home stretch. Back to center. Sorry. One more time. Let's rotate to the left, folks. Good. Back to center. Good. Ease off. Nice and slow. Use a stick to assist yourself back up. Ease off and relax. And that, my friends, concludes today's stick mobility class. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining me for today. I know it's Christmas. I'm not sure how many of you out there celebrate, but I do want to thank you for the time that you spent in my classes. And I really appreciate you guys being here. I hope everybody had a good class today. Be sure to stay safe, have fun, enjoy the time with your family. Be sure to catch y'all next week. Have a good Christmas.